Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Zappy here, back again with Chainsaw Man Season 1. We are on episode 6. In the last episode, Denji finally got to fondle some breasts, and not just one set of breasts either, two. Of course, Power, obviously because he saved her previously, he got to fondle her breast 3 times. Turns out it wasn't really good enough for him. It was the expectation was higher than the actual thing. However, I went to Makima, had to fill out some paperwork because of the Bat Devil incident and all of that stuff. And then there was a sort of like a thing between him and Makima where they were talking about, you know what I mean, connection and whatnot. And Makima was giving, Denji this whole sort of this spiel about the connection between people makes it feel better and everything like that. And Denji is all for that. So now he is totally head over heels for Makima. And the next end goal, we'll put it that way, is that he wants to have sex with her. Because Makima had basically said that any wish can be granted by me if you take care of this, of the big bad, which, you know, I'm assuming is the big bad, which is this gun devil that they talked about, which killed 1.2 million people when it appeared for the first time and then essentially vanished. It basically, I was going to say secrete. It doesn't secrete gun flesh, but gun flesh because it's moving so quickly. Apparently, this parts of its body, this gun flesh, basically tears itself off of it. But they do kind of magnetize back to it, so they're using a bunch of those little sort of like bullet-looking things to essentially use it as a radar to try and find this gun devil, because no one seems to be able to find it. Whether it's actually hiding out or it's moving just so quickly that, you know, no one can actually, you know, perceive it, which would be ridiculous. I mean, considering the fact, I think the initial attack where it basically took out like Aki's family and the 1.2 million, I assume was because of its movement and not just an actual attack. I could be wrong on that, but it seems that way anyway. So I imagine it's hiding out somewhere. But, you know, who knows. So, yeah, they're currently on a mission with everyone there. So, Aki's there, Power's there, Himeno's there, and the 2 rookies as well, Arai and Kobeni is there. They are currently in an apartment trying to find this one devil that has seemingly has them trapped on the 8th floor. They go upstairs, they end up coming essentially back down. It's like, or like they come up, and it's like to them it's almost like they might as well have just basically gone around in a circle, right? And same if they go downstairs, right? It's like it's mental. It's almost like a domain that's in like Jujutsu Kaisen, like that kind of stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of perceive this, because Aki and Himeno seem to be like, what is going on here? Almost like they haven't seen something like this before, but it's some kind of illusion that this devil, I imagine, is conjuring up. So yep, it is going to be interesting. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about, so you're going to get straight into episode 6. As always, the reaction will be here on YouTube, but if for whatever reason it gets taken off for copyright in the future, I'll re-upload this as a discussion only, and a link to the reaction will be in the description below. As always, a link to the full-length reaction to this episode is in the description below, so if you do want to watch my full-length reaction and not just a cut 10-minute version, then the offer is there for you. But yeah, nothing else really to talk about, so you're going to get in episode 6, see what you get. So without further ado, let's go. Yeah, so she can tell that they're not different people. Well done, Einstein. So they don't even look out into the outside, it's just totally closed in. Oh wow, he came out behind her. You need to use the bullets to try and find the source. Is the time going down? Like, is the clock the same? I've tried everything here. Okay. Oh wow, so it's not even 8th floor, you know? She did it. This was a question I had last episode. Wow. Jesus Christ. That really sucks.
さっきから8時18分で
It's
す。
all 8.
悪魔の力で時間が止まっている可能性があります。その場合、助けは来ないかもしれません。
Yeah.
食べ物は宿泊客が逃げるとき置いていった荷物に少しだけあった。
That was lucky then.
新井くんも最初こそアキくんを手伝ってたんだけど、今は状況に怖がって部屋に閉じこもってる。
Wow.
小紅ちゃんはおかしくなってトイレの水を飲もうとしたから気絶させた。
Oh, bloody hell.
3人で小紅ちゃんと新井くんを見張ろう。
Yeah, Arai's gone a bit mental, and he's supposed to be like motivated and whatnot. He's supposed to be like the more mentally strong one out of the two.
ああ、最後のタバコ。
うぬは落ち着いててつまらんの。
あとニコチンの力。
Well,
依存できるもんがあるといいよね。
you better make that one
何
last
か
then.
に寄りかかっていきたい人生ですよ。アキくんは吸わな
Bloody
いの？
blimp.
骨が腐るから吸わない。
銃の悪魔を殺すためでしょ。デビルハンターなんて短命なんだから吸っちゃえばいいのに。
俺は簡単には死なない。
The hell was that for?
あれは前のバディの彼女さん。
Wow.
死んだバディの遺族とかとトラブルになるのはよくあること。
What can you do? You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing. What's he gonna do?
殴ったやつの服にこっそりガムつけてやった。ざまあみろ。あいつは服についてるガムに気づかず生きていくんだ。
悪魔が恐れるデビルハンターは強いやつでも勇敢なやつでもないって。頭のネジがぶっ飛んでるやつだって。だからアキくんは長生きできそう。1本あげる。
It's a part that's on a, like, you know, wavelength. Do it for
一本
something
だ
in
け吸って
common.
やる。姫野先輩、タバコ残ってます。
Nope.
残念。これ最後の1本。
俺たちが殺した悪魔がいたろ。
わしが殺したやつじゃな。
Is that really tied to...
そいつがどんどん大きくなってる。
What? Oh my...
確かにわしが殺
He's
した
an amalgamation of just different body parts and... That... Oh, here we go. Contract. Fuck, they're going nuts. They're going nuts. They're gonna try and give him... They're gonna try and give him up. Oh god. Come on, Cubby, pull it together, man.
アキくん、キツネで飲み込めば終わるんじゃない？
コン、や
Interesting.
っぱりキツネは来ませんね。
私のゴーストでやるか。
Oh, nice. That works. Fucking hell.
でかくなった。ここに私の心臓はない。私と契約する以外生きては帰れない。
契約って
Yeah, it has to be done. It's a Geass
悪
again.
魔が使う契約って言葉には強い力があるの。守れず破った方は死ぬ。だからデンジ君を殺せば出られるのは本当だよ。
Yeah.
その悪魔の契約を受けるべきです。
わしは殺す派じゃ。ノーベル賞を思いついても外に出られなければ発表できないからな。
魔人と悪魔は契約を結べない。
I think fiends and devils
殺
can't
すのは悪魔だけだ。
make contracts.
アキ君、実際なんか外に出る作戦はあるの？
悪魔の言葉を信じるなら奴を殺すことはできない。どうしようもなくなったら刀を使います。
それはダメ。
What's with the sword?
刀使えば
Is it like something like you can cut through reality or something? Wow, it's that big a deal? It must be something it's insane. The power edit all. Oh, what are you doing, power?
全部食べ
Wasn't even rationed or anything.
その魔人の力で扱いから出られないんだ。
落ち着けコメリちゃん。こいつは血の魔人で。
魔人をかばうの。私たちデビルハンターな
Go
のに。
mental. Christ, man. All of this negative energy is fucking making this thing worse. Oh, God. That's how it works, man. Like, knock them out or something. They already know about Denji's name. Oh, fucking hell. Jesus. This is like Inception. It's the sword. Here we go.
いいですよね。 姫野先輩姫野先輩
He really doesn't want that sword to be used.
使えば外には出られるだろうけど使うと契約でアキ君の寿命がかかる
Oh, wow, really?
からごめんねデンジ君
Oh, God. God, Aki. He's such a badass. He fucking... Fuck.
確かにそいつは刺されても仕方のない胸くその悪い野郎だが銃の悪魔を殺そうとしている俺一人じゃ銃の悪魔を殺せないんだ俺の寿命を減らしてでも天地は殺させない
Oh, what a badass.
こいつの血止められるか
That'll be sick.
アキ君どうしようあなたのせいだから
ああはいはいじゃあ食われてやらでも俺も抵抗すっからよ
Gotta cut it up a
も
bit
し俺
first.
が悪魔をぶっ殺すようなことがあったらまだ忘れてねえからなあの悪魔なんだか知らねえが俺のチェーンソーにビビってやる
Yeah, he knows who we are.
だったらよあいつが死にたくなるまで痛めつけて自殺させりゃいい
Oh, wow. That's one way to look at it, but we'll see.
俺は誰かに借りつくんのはもううんざりなんだよ
Come on, Denji. Jesus. Got it to avoid. Bastard. We're not ending there. No. Oh, God. Okay, episode 6. Wow, that was an interesting one. That was, like, just felt, like, totally different because obviously the devil's power... it's the Eternity Devil, right? Basically stuck in a domain that you can't get out of, seemingly with the premise that the only way you can get out is if you make a contract with the devil, which, I mean, as of right now, I don't know, because at its heart, it's a shonen, even if it's a dark shonen, which you would have to think that at some point, like, Denji going into Chainsaw Man, hoping that it kills itself, is basically like the only other option. It's either that, it's either Denji forces it to kill itself, he offers himself up to get eaten, which won't happen, or Aki uses the sword, in which case that takes off years of Aki's life. I didn't think in the subtitles, I don't think it mentioned exactly how much, like if it was like halved or something like that, like some like a Death Note, but obviously Himeno doesn't obviously want that to happen, right? And she was even losing it there at the end, like the thought of losing Aki almost like sent her over the edge, like I don't understand, like what do we do then? What do we do? But yeah, just like an interesting, like a different kind of episode, like watching, like because the idea of this devil is like what Denji says at the end, like almost like it's like he figured it out that like this devil knows who I am, like, you know what I mean? It was like I'm the one that's gonna kill Chainsaw, like, so already this devil and seemingly other devils are already hearing of Chainsaw Man's exploits, which means that like what did Makima said that. You know what I mean, like the name is associated like with fear, so like the more that like is known about him, essentially the stronger Chainsaw Man will be. I'm assuming that is definitely going to be a thing in the show, like that is something that is that you can tell is like happening. The more that they know about Chainsaw Man, the stronger that he gets, right? So I think, he might be right, and that's the thing, is because obviously Denji isn't going to be able to kill it like by his killing blow, because the Eternity Devil basically said, I don't know, the devil could be lying, but essentially what the Eternity Devil says is that his heart is not on the 8th floor, so, and you can't get off the 8th floor, which means that you can't kill it. So it's just a case of Denji hurting it so much that it can't take the pain anymore, so it it basically opts out and kills itself, which mental. It could be a sort of a I mean, that's the thing, is like, how long is Denji going to be able to last? You know what I mean? Because that's the thing, it's going to be a battle of attrition, you would think of, right? Like, Denji has to be in Chainsaw Man, like, he has to be in that form and keep causing it pain, you know what I mean? And it's a question of whether or not the devil can hold out or not. You know, so we'll see. Another interesting one there as well, I'll write it down because I did actually... I didn't get time to write it down because I was writing down loads of stuff. That fiends and devils can't make contracts. So I guess that means that, like, essentially devils between themselves can't make contracts with each other. I guess, you know, well, it wouldn't particularly benefit devils to make contracts with each other, right? Because the idea is that, like, you're sort of feasting upon humans in multiple ways, you know what I mean? Whether it's literally or like feasting off their fear kind of thing as well. So you always want to kind of, like, they always want to get the benefit over humans. With each other, right? Yeah, so yeah, interesting as well. And I did like the fact, like, this is obviously the reason why for the story's sake, to take the rookies along, right? Obviously, like, they're going along to get, like, experience in the whole thing, right? But, like, just from, like, a story point of view, like, having them be there, those are the ones that, like, obviously are the first to just lose it and go mental in this situation, because obviously they haven't experienced it. And so it's like, to them, it's like, essentially it might as well be the end of the world. They don't have the experience and, like, wherewithal to really just calm yourself down and think things through properly. So obviously them going mental, you know, and it says a lot as well. Like, I talked about in the episode that Arai, like, he was the one that, like, has the motivation. I guess that doesn't really coincide with, like, mental fortitude, I suppose, but I think it says a lot that obviously, like, Kobeni was going to be the first one to, like, really, like, go. I mean, she already was, right? Like, she was, like, you know, and this was a question I had last episode about this idea of, like, well, she must have known what she was getting into, and then like, I was right, because I did ask, unless she was forced to, which she was, which sucks. Like, her parents must suck, because she was forced to become a devil hunter or a sex worker just to send her brother to college. Like, they mustn't be in a good way, their family, but, like, it just sucks. Like, those are the two options. It's horrendous, man. So, you know, I don't blame them, you know what I mean? They're just rookies at the end of the day, and experiences like this will just help them become stronger going ahead, you know. You know, so we'll see. I just hope, like, they get through it, really, you know, because I did say last episode, like, it's not looking good for them, like, especially if they can't get a hold of themselves. But that's what I mean, is, like, you know, these kind of experiences are what make them stronger, and then they will be able to get a hold of themselves in situations like this. So, you know, it's something that has to come with the territory, I guess. So yeah. So yeah, the 8th floor, it was completely closed off. I was right, it is essentially like a domain cut off from the rest of the world. Time stood still, so they can't expect outside help from the outside the area. Everything has to go through them. They have to find a way to get out themselves. We had the devil's powers release when they die. Of course, that's kind of tied into the idea that if Denji forces this eternity devil to kill itself, that, you know, they'll obviously come out of the out of that domain. So yeah, that's a good thing to note going forward. I like the thing that, like, Himeno said as well about devils fearing those with a screw loose, as opposed to those who are just brave and you know what I mean, like that way inclined. Like, you need people that, like, legitimately are a bit just mental in the head, you know. I guess like that's the thing, is like it's one thing like being brave and whatnot, but like I suppose in a world like this where you're sort of seeking out these devils and whatnot, I guess you have to be at least a little bit mad to go there, you know what I mean? Unless it's a case of like Kobani, which you know essentially you're forced to, right? You know, so yeah. Only public safety can hold gun flesh. I think that might be tied in with the whole like who has first dibs on devils. Like we talked about, you know, we've talked about previously about the sort of like civilian hunters and whatnot, which somebody did actually tell me that the civilian hunters and the private hunters are the same thing, which I didn't realise. That was obviously from a quote in the last episode where it was like, in the first year, devil hunters that are in public safety, like they either die or go private, meaning that they leave the public safety and just become a civilian hunter. Which does make it, like, I don't know why that would be any better, you know? Like, you would prefer to be like a civilian hunter, which I suppose I assume is on your own. Like, you're on your own, so you'd rather be on your own than be with a group. You know? I don't know if like what Aki was meaning when he said that last episode was like it's not the devils that are getting to them, like the fighting and all that. They're scared of their own life. It's sort of like the fear of losing people that are close to them. Maybe that's what he meant by that. But yeah. So yeah. But only the public safety can hold gun flesh. So yeah, I guess it's like they had basically first dibs on it, or if it's a case of like the gun devil is just that powerful that a civilian hunter is not going to be able to do anything. Like, this is something that has to take like an organization to bring down. So yeah. So yeah, the amalgamation thing is interesting. Like this devil, the Eternity Devil. So what are we saying, that the devil that like they killed last episode, the little bastard, that was actually a part of the devil, but it wasn't like the main part of it. It was just that it was just there as to basically set a trap. That as soon as they connected with it, that's when they were trapped. I think that's what they meant by it, right? So yeah, we'll see. I couldn't really tell as well, like when Himeno was using the ghost devil like grasp thing and actually like hurting it and injuring it, that I don't know if it was getting bigger or if it was just moving towards her, you know, because that would be a fucking, like, that wouldn't be good if Denji's going in to fight it, every time it hurts it like grows bigger. I don't know. I mean, the way that obviously it's being portrayed in the show here, like the animation and whatnot, is basically this devil is almost like a void in of itself. Like, you know, like he's fallen in through multiple mouths and everything, and it's just like it just seems to go on for like ever, which I guess is just, you know, I mean, by proxy, the fucking 8th floor that they're in goes on forever, but in a finite amount of space. Because obviously the idea is that, you know, you always come back on yourself, you know, so it's like it's more or less like a sphere, and you're just walking around the edge of it. Eventually, like anywhere you go, you always come back to where you were. It's not like a case of like it's just a straight line from here to infinity. So yeah, so hopefully it's not an amalgamation that if it gets injured it literally expands, because then they're going to run out of space and then they're just going to suffocate to death. So yeah, I doubt that's the case. I'm going to just say that it was just coming towards her and it wasn't actually expanding more. Yeah, what else? Aki as well, being a badass, taking the whole thing, like, you know what I mean? Like such a switch, you know, especially from like, you know, 4 episodes ago when they met, you know, and Aki was like, you know, just get out of here, right? You don't want to be here. You don't have the, you know, the capacity for it. But then just over these episodes, obviously he's getting closer to him, and he knows, and you know, he's seen accounts from the public talking about him and whatnot, and like even though his bloody, you know, his goals are very normal and not far-fetched, You know what I mean? Aki's starting to come around to him. So yeah, taking Kobeni's knife attack to himself. God, what a badass. You know what I mean? And fending off the ghost devil as well by doing it. Very badass. And then going forward with that as well, power, like, so she's able to actually control other people's blood as well, though it is more difficult in that regard. But I guess, like, she can essentially, like, do it, like, clot it up, right? So that it stops bleeding, I imagine, is what the idea is there. But luckily that's the case, because we don't want him bleeding out. You know what I mean? So yeah, power is very useful in this situation. I did like the sort of, you know, this is a thing as well, like back to like Kobeni when she was talking about like she was forced to become a devil hunter and whatnot, like yeah, it sucks. And then like obviously power, like literally like laughing about it and everything like that. Obviously on the surface it's like it sucks and it's horrendous, but like the way that Himeno talks about it, yeah, like they thrive off negative like emotions and energy and stuff. So I imagine like to her, like to power, that would have been like somebody telling you a joke, like the funniest joke you've ever heard kind of thing, you know, like you can't stop yourself from laughing, I guess would be the idea behind that, right? Like it's just like in negative energy the happier you can be, right? Because that's just the way the devils are. So I imagine that's the reason why. So like, oh yeah, on the surface it sucks, but like it makes sense. Which makes sense as well, like why power throughout this whole like being trapped, like she's the only one that isn't actually concerned. You know what I mean? Because like that, the negative energy of just being there like just doesn't affect her, which is just very funny. We had the whole contract thing as well, which you didn't really like go into in depth. So yeah, essentially I thought it was a similar thing. The contract Gias thing, again, very similar to Jujutsu. You know, something that has to be like, it has to be taken like seriously. It's not a case of just like, oh, you're just, you know, if we make this deal, oh, what's to say that you aren't lying? No, when a deal's made, it has to follow through from both parties, otherwise the person dies, right? Or the entity dies. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it, though. I think I've got everything there. I don't know as well, like obviously with like him and obviously this is the first time like we've really seen her like almost lose it, because I guess like, you know, we've only known her for what an episode or so it's not exactly, you know, like something that is like entirely shocking. I just think because obviously she's the one that's been in it longer than the rest of them, that she has more of a cool head. But it was just like, I don't know how long she's been with Aki for, like I don't know how many years it's been. I don't know how old Aki is. I don't know, you know, when they like became partnered up. So I don't know how long they've been, you know, with each other. But I imagine like Himeno is probably, the idea of losing Aki, I imagine is probably like more detrimental to her than like her previous partners, you know. Even though she said obviously it's always fucking horrible losing a partner. You know, I imagine like with Aki, it's probably like even worse. But yeah, I wonder how long it can go as well. Like how long until you just literally shut off from all emotion? Like how many partners you have to go through? You know what I mean? Before it's like it's too much. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those where like surely you either just break or like you just like or your just emotion like filter just shuts off. It's got to be one or the other, you know. But yeah, I found it fucked that like, you know, you have relatives or partners of previous you know, previous like sort of like relations to Himeno's previous partners, right? That they come and like slap her and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just fucking hell, man. Like, what do you want them to do? You know what I mean? It's not like something that is totally controllable, a devil, you know what I mean? Like you have these obviously situations in real life where like people will blame people for like, you know, for just being around a situation that either hurt or like killed like someone's family member or whatever, and so like the blame obviously like shifts to them and whatnot. But like if you compare a real world scenario to like Devils, where it's like supernatural powers and stuff, like what you expect to happen getting that line of work. Again, it's like one of those where unless like you're like Kobeni and you're like forced in, you know what you're getting into by going in there. You know what I mean? Like I get it, like, you know, of course, like the, you know, whoever the relation is, of course, isn't going to take it that way, because to them it's them the one that's hurting, and so, you know, they can only go by their emotions. But don't fucking take it out on the other person. You know what I mean? Like, because what's Himeno supposed to do? You know what I mean? If your focus and attention is on a devil, right? You can't you can't keep focus on two things at once. You know what I mean? Saving someone else and focusing on the devil trying to kill it. You know what I mean? It's like it's not something you can you have total control over. You know. So fuck them people, and I like the fact that Aki went and put gum on her clothes. It's so petty, like especially like for Aki, who's like just like a very like straight laced sort of like mature guy, to like just go and put gum on their clothes, you know. Fucking hell, man, it's so funny. But yeah, I think that's it though. I think, oh yeah, there's one thing I actually wrote down as well, because I've noticed this for like a few episodes now in the opening. There's a little sort of scene in the opening where Makima is like holding a slug, right? And basically like almost like to Denji to eat it. I found it interesting because literally, and the way the world works is absolutely mad. Like, do you know, like one of those sort of instances where like how can I say this? Let's say like you're thinking of something, like you've just thought of something that you haven't thought about for like years, and then all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. You know what I mean? Like one of those like weird, it's not like deja vu, but it's like sort of like a similar sort of thing that just tends, like, that life tends to throw up sometimes, that is just so weird. You know, and it's probably like just like a subconscious thing where like your mind just kind of looks out for it more. But like one of the weird things that is there, I watched this sort of like video while I was like scrolling through Twitter, and it's one of those things like where, you know, like there's like a parasitic sort of like thing in a slug that basically like takes control of the whole slug or whatever. And I think this is sort of, I think that idea and like the opening is sort of tied with like Makima and Denji is like in like control. I said this all the way back in like episode 2, I think, where like I just figured straight away that like Makima was all about control, and so I think like the idea is that she's almost like it's a weird way to put it, but she's like a parasite and Denji's the slug, and like she has control over him, which is the slug, right? Just thought it was interesting just to sort of note that, because I just thought it was interesting when I saw it. I know that like in the opening, like there's loads of references to movies and stuff. I don't think that's a reference to a movie, but like something original on its own. But who knows? But anyway, yeah, that is all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. Of course, in the description below, links to my Patreon page and everything like that. The tiers there, of course, are the early access, gives you access to shows a week early. The full-length tier, which gives you access to full-length to all the shows I do, and then the exclusive tier, which gives you access to all of the full-length movie reactions that I do. So yeah, any of those tiers that you are interested in, go have a look. But that is all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.